What's happening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of SWAC Talk, the show where we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your host, Charles Wells, coming at you. Gonna drop a video. I just was thinking about this as we approach under 80 days. To the start of the football season, I figured I would throw out the games that I think might be games to keep an eye on. If they're on TV, you can catch them on TV. If it's a game that you might want to attend and catch a game as a neutral fan, these might be some games to think about attending. Otherwise, these are just games that I think should be interesting. I don't necessarily mean they're going to be all good. They probably all won't be top games of the year, but these are games that I feel you should keep your eyes on it's this SWAC season because most people know that this season is shaping up to be probably one of the most important SWAC seasons in quite some time. So any amount of games that you can watch, follow, go to, whatever, I think is a good thing. Especially if you can attend a few games and put some money in these programs, that would definitely be well welcomed. So before we get started with the list, um, the socials are obviously in the description down below. Facebook.com/SWACTalk, Twitter.com/SWACTalk76, Instagram.com/SWACTalk, and SWACTalk76@gmail.com is the email address. Also, check out the podcast Swag Talk on anchor.fm/Swag Talk. Also, can be heard on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Um, we have an episode coming up this Sunday on Mississippi Valley State, as well as one this past Sunday on Jackson State. So these are spring season recaps. So feel free to check those out at your leisure. Also, check out any shows that are in the archive. You can listen to old shows going back to about 2017, 2018, just to get a feel of what the show has always been about. Um, right now, the YouTube channel is up to 165 subscribers. So definitely want to thank everybody for the love and support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, man. I cannot do this without y'all. I appreciate all the love that's been shown this far, and I'm going to continue to do my best to reciprocate and bring you a good content that would justify your support. So thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed already, won't you go ahead and do so? Go ahead and hit that like button on this video and all other videos. Share them. Um, Comment. Feel free to comment. I'll definitely respond to comments. So I love to go back and forth in the comments. So if you got something you want to throw in there, feel free. I'll respond. Um, Hit the notification bell so you can be alerted to any content that I upload. And before I get started, I wanted to just say this. I talk about loving HBCUs and being a part of the culture and everything, and I love my HBCU. I love swag football. I love HBCU football, but I just wanted to let y'all know that when I say I love it, it's it's deep within me, and how deep within me, I have it on my skin. This is not new. I've had this for about 5 years, but I love SU. So don't ever get it twisted that I'm not a swag person, man, because I love my university enough to put it there. I got my diploma, my degree from class of 2002. I love SU, so there's no disrespect to any of these other teams up here, but obviously I'm a Jag, and I just wanted to show that I do love my university. So that's no nothing at anybody or anything like that. That's just a little fun I wanted to have before we jumped into this topic. So these games are all going to be in order chronologically by date. They don't have any kind of, I don't have any kind of order after the date. I did, obviously this list could have been all Jackson State games, if that's your flavor. But I wanted to kind of do more than that, you know, because obviously Jackson State is a team to watch this fall. But they're playing, so let's talk about a few games that other people are playing, as well as the Tigers. They pop up on this list quite a bit. So the first game that I want to recommend that if you could go to or watch is August 28th, the MEAC SWAC Challenge, North Carolina Central against Alcorn. The MEAC SWAC Challenge has been one-sided for a while. The MEAC has won most of these matchups. I believe only Southern and Prayerview have won games in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So this is a big, big matchup for the SWAC. Alcorn definitely is a must-win game to kind of lay some claim to this because the SWAC needs to definitely kind of step it up in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. September 4th, It's an obviously these are a lot of games this week are money games, non-conference games, a lot of great games that Saturday. But I picked the Labor Day Classic between Prayerview and Texas Southern. I think that will be an entertaining game. This past spring, the game was a 1 point game. Texas Southern definitely had a chance to win it, but they let Prairie View get back into it. This could be a game that could turn Texas Southern season around right from the jump. They do have Jalen Brown playing quarterback. I know they had in front of him get hurt, so I don't know if they're gonna have a camp battle for the QB position. But that's definitely something to keep an eye out on. Prairie View definitely wants to kind of get their offense going because this spring they didn't do that. They losing two key defensive players, so that's something also to take into account. This game could be for Texas Southern. It's a home game for them, so this could be a game that they could win. And this is one of those underrated games that a lot of people don't talk about. So I would definitely keep my eyes on it. But obviously, Sunday, September 5th, is probably one of the biggest days of SWAC football. Grambling and Tennessee State are hooking up in Canton, so that's the 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 the, the debut of Eddie George as the head coach of Tennessee State matching up against one of their historical rivals, Gremlin. Gremlin's definitely looking to put that ugly spring behind them and get back on track. So that should definitely be a game to keep an eye out on just for the Eddie George factor alone is something to keep an eye out on. But obviously to see if Gremlin can get their season off to a better start than they've done the last couple of years. So that's definitely the game to keep an eye on. But the game most people are gonna keep their eyes on is that game down in Miami in the Orange Blossom Classic. Jackson State and FAMU hooking up. This game, man, I'm telling you, I think this is probably gonna be one of the best games of the year. Definitely has potential for that. FAMU is hungry. They want to prove something. This is their first ever SWAC game against Deion Sanders coaching in his first fall SWAC game. So this is real, man. In Miami, this gonna already crowd is already tickets are going rapidly. So this game is definitely gonna have a nice crowd, TV audience. You can't ask for much more. Two great bands. Just the atmosphere should be amazing. Um, I can't wait to watch this game, man. I'm glad it's on Sunday, so I could just focus on that and see what happens because this game is going to go a long way in shaping the SWAC East race, but it's also going to go a long way in shaping the narrative of either team's season if they lose. So there's a lot on the line for both teams, and man, you can't ask for much better for a start of a season. So that game, man, is going to be tough to top for a while. September 11th, Jackson State and Tennessee State playing the Southern Heritage Classic in Memphis. Deion Sanders, Eddie George, the two NFL former players coaching HBCUs, hooking up in a historical classic in a game that's always unpredictable. So this you can't ask for another, just like the FAMU Jackson State game, you can't ask for another matchup that could bring more intrigue and just atmosphere to this. The aristocrats, bands, Tennessee State will be there. The Sonic Boom of the South will be in the house. Jackson State and Tennessee State, they hook up every year, and it's always a crazy game. So I wouldn't expect anything less. You know, both teams could be 1-0 coming into this game. And if that's the case, oh, the hype machine would be on 100. So I'm definitely looking forward to that game. Um, September 11th, also, Northwestern State is at Alcorn. Now, this is not a big game, but it's an important game because this is a matchup against a Southland team. 2019, the SWAC went 0-2 against McNeese in the South from the Southland. So if these teams want to have any kind of a positive step in their season besides playing, for SWAC pride, this is a game that has to be won by Alcorn. They're at home, and this is a big game for a home matchup. September 18th, Bethune-Cookman plays their first home SWAC game against Alabama A&M. So this game is important for the divisional race. It's just important for the historical moment of being the first game at home against a SWAC opponent, and it's against the defending SWAC champs of the spring. So you can't really ask for much more than that. Bethune Cookman getting a really early welcome to the SWAC, playing the defending SWAC champs for their first SWAC game of the season. Southern hosts McNeese on September 18th. Also, just like I said with that Northwestern State game, this is a regional FCS opponent, Southland opponent. This is a game that really needs to be won. You know that if you want to take strides, you have to win these type of games. And there's no ifs or ands about it. You know the time of playing close and coming up short and being all right with that is over. If you want to really put yourself out there, you must win these kind of games. Another matchup between an FCS regional opponent and a SWAC team. Um, UCA Central Arkansas hosts University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, and that's gonna be a game that again a game that you really need to see a great effort out of the Golden Lions. UCA is a pretty solid team, so Pine Bluff is losing a few pieces on offense. They're losing Harry Ballard, wide receiver, so they have some pieces to fill. But they are coming off a West Division championship and they're going to be hungry. So this is an important game for state rights. You need if you want to recruit in your state, you need to beat these kind of teams. So that's what that matchup is all about. September 25th, Gremlin and Prayerview hook up in Dallas in the State Fair Classic. This spring, that game was played in Arlington. Prayerview has won the last 3 games in this series, so Gremlin definitely wants to get that out of the way. Prairie View is looking for another big win in this series, and the winner of this game is still going. Nobody's going to be out of the West Division race at this point, but the winner would definitely set themselves up for a better finish, and maybe not have to need as much help. So it's always an important game, but with the addition of Alcorn, the game is even more important because you can't afford to drop games with Alcorn coming over from the east. Speaking of Alcorn, Alcorn heads to Arkansas Pine Bluff in a game that should be a good game. Alcorn obviously is most likely going to be picked to win the division, the West Division right now. So that Pine Bluff gets them at home, and that's if they want to stake their claim, they need to win games like this. If Alcorn wants to continue to hold their reign to a division championship, they need to win games like this. So this is a big game. This is a game to keep an eye out on. Alcorn doesn't get to Pine Bluff too often, so this is a good for them at this point. September 25th, Bethune-Cookman is at Alabama State, and this is another important game, and it's also Bethune-Cookman's first SWAC game on the road, so that's another little caveat of importance. But obviously, any games between the top 5 teams in the East are going to be bloodbaths, and they go a long way to winning the division. You don't want to drop games like this. Both teams are going to be looking to make their mark. So this is a good game to keep out on. I hope it gets some kind of television coverage because I think it'll be an exciting game. Now, these next 2 games are not games that are going to be very good or interesting, I don't think. But the reason why I'm putting them on there is because the city of Jackson has decided that they want to have this soul-filled weekend, as they calling it, on September 25th and 26th. Uh, September 25th, Jackson State hosts Delta State. And then September 26th, Mississippi Valley has moved that game from Itabena against Southern to Jackson. So this is like a 2-game weekend in Jackson. I don't know how many people are going to do both games or whatever, but this is something that the city is trying to push. And I really think Valley probably should have kept their game in Valley because Southern don't get they don't get Southern at home up there. They haven't had Southern on the schedule since 2016, and they haven't played Southern in Itabena since 2015. So that's something that they probably should have tried to keep. But I know most Southern people are probably glad to not have to go to Itabena. So that's a win for Southern in that aspect right there. October 2nd, we're going to stick with Mississippi Valley and stay in the Delta. They are hosting North Carolina Central for homecoming, and I put that on there just because Valley's homecoming, and that's a pretty good um, opponent. Valley doesn't have any breaks on their schedule, so if they're gonna get better, they're gonna have to get better against good teams. There's not any easy games on their schedule, so I wanted to show them a little bit of love, especially for homecoming. So that's something to keep an eye out on. Also on October 2nd, FAMU hosts Alabama State in their first home SWAC game, and they get to play the Hornets. That's an old SIAC matchup, so there's some history there, and should be a very good game. The Hornets. I don't think they've been to FAMU in a while, so that should be a very intriguing game. Now, the next game I put on the schedule, y'all gonna look at me like I'm crazy, but it's also October 2nd, North American University or whatever at Texas Southern. It's the Tigers' homecoming. I only put this on there because I just need to see who the hell North American University is, and I want to see how many players they have and all of that. So that's the only reason why I got this on the list is because I just need to know who these guys are. I never heard of them, never seen them, don't even know what colors they wear. So I'm just interested in that. So that's the only reason why that game is on this list. October 9th, Jackson State is at Alabama A&M for homecoming. Game doesn't need much more to it than that. The last couple of years, the score has been very high. Jackson State had a chance to win both games at certain points. The game in Huntsville in 2019, Jackson State led most of the time, and A&M to come back. Jackson State tried to rally this year against A&M, but they couldn't get it done. So, Shador Sanders, Akil Glass, that's a quarterback matchup. Hopefully, that will be very entertaining. So, Deion Sanders, Connor Maynard, another little head to head to keep an eye on for that matchup. A lot of intrigue going out. These two teams, they don't have like a deep seated rivalry, but there's a competitive thing now. So I would definitely expect to see some heat coming out of it. October 9th, Gremlin is at Alcorn. That's another historical rivalry type game. Gremlin beat Alcorn last time they played, so that's important to keep in mind. Gremlin can be in the race or out of the race by this point, so it's very interesting to see. Gremlin typically has success against Alcorn, so we'll see how they do there. Also, on October 16th, Jackson State hosts Alabama State, and it's the Tigers' homecoming. And Jackson State took a loss to Alabama State this year, and they also took a loss to Alabama State in 2019. So they're definitely looking to break that little slide against the Hornets. And it's homecoming, so anytime homecoming is always important. You need to win it. So that's something that I always keep eyes out on homecomings because those are very important games. Speaking of homecoming, Pine Bluff hosts Southern for homecoming, and this is a game that should be a very exciting game. Pine Bluff beat Southern last year, well in the spring. They had a chance to beat Southern in 2019, but they fell apart in the second half. So they want to be able to prove that what they did against Southern in the spring they can continue to do, and if they want to stay at the top of the division, they need to win games like this. It can't be a one and done. Beat this team one year and don't beat them the next year. So this game is very important for both teams. For Southern is really important because the finish of that season is brutal. So they cannot afford to take very many losses in a game like this. They need to win if they're gonna consider themselves division contenders. October 23rd, we stay on the excuse me, let's jump right back to October 16th. FAMU and Alabama A&M hook up in Huntsville. That's a big game. Again, another game that's important for the East Division race. Should be exciting. FAMU offense should be pretty exciting. We know what A&M brings on offense. Defensively, we'll see what both teams do, but this should be a very entertaining game. And the Rattlers love to try to get after people, so I think they're gonna try to stake their claim to the East. And this is a game that they definitely can do that if they're successful. Moving on to October 23rd, Southern hosts Prairie View for homecoming. Last time Southern played Prairie View for homecoming was 2015, and Prairie View beat them to spoil Southern's homecoming. Southern wore some ridiculous navy uniforms that I've never wanted to see them wear ever again, and hopefully they don't do anything like this time. But Prairie View is a wild card right now, so it's really hard to say what they're gonna do at this point. We had to really research them and see. But right now, that's homecoming, so always gonna bring a big crowd on the bluff, and Prairie View is going to bring some people because they have a nice contingency of people from Baton Rouge and Louisiana, so it should be a good matchup. Also, October 23rd, Bethune-Cookman goes to Jackson to play Jackson State. As I said multiple times already, East Division matchup, very important. These two teams played in the MEAC SWAC Challenge in 2019. Jackson State led a good portion of that game before Bethune-Cookman came back in the second half, so Jackson State feels like they can beat them, and it would be very vital to them in their conference race if they do. October 30th, Alabama State and Alabama A&M play in the Magic City Classic in Birmingham. This game needs no more said than this. This game decided the East Division in the spring, this past spring, and this game could go a long way, most likely deciding the East Division again. These two teams, there's no love lost, there's no introduction needed. The coaches Hill and Maynard, they're good friends. They talk trash quite often back and forth. So this is a good game to pay attention to. And coming off of the spring Magic City Classic, having a game with a nice crowd is definitely going to make this atmosphere even better. October 30th as well. Alcorn goes to Baton Rouge to take on Southern. Southern's been a punching bag for Alcorn for a while, so this game is very important for Southern, man. Southern needs to win this game. Last time Alcorn went to Southern, they held Southern to 150 total yards. Offense just pushed them around all game, but Southern defense played pretty well in that game. Alcorn only won that game 20-3. So that's a these two teams they played 4 times in the last 2 years. So at least for if you're a Southern fan, you don't have to see Alcorn twice a year no more. But if you want to win a division, you have to go through the Braves. So playing them at home where Southern doesn't lose that often is definitely vital. So this is obviously going to be a big game. Teams are about a couple hours apart. So gonna have a good crowd from Alcorn come down. A lot of family mixed up in this matchup, so should be one to keep an eye out on. And Southern definitely needs to win this game. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Also, October 30th, Grambling has Tallahassee to take on FAMU. And the only reason why I got this on here is mainly because this is a historical rivalry and they're renewing their. I don't think they played in a while. So these two teams, they've played quite often, and they both have very proud programs and very good histories. So there's something to really keep your eye on when these two teams match up. Now how the game is gonna go, it all depends on how Grambling plays. But having Grambling go to Tallahassee is definitely a good thing. November 6th, Alcorn goes to Daytona to take on Bethune-Cookman. These teams played in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Uh, I want to say 2016 or 2017, and the game got canceled because of weather. So Alcorn felt like they probably could have beat them. Bethune-Cookman felt like they probably could have won. So even though these two teams are different personnel, that matchup is still kind of sitting there simmering. So I really expect a little bit of smoke there because Alcorn likes to say they want to bring smoke to everybody. So they're going to bring that smoke to Daytona, and we'll see if the Wildcats can handle it. November 6th, this probably is the biggest game for me, maybe second biggest game for me personally. FAMU has the Baton Rouge to take on the Southern Jags. This is a matchup that's very, it doesn't need a lot to be said. These two teams don't like each other. These two fan bases don't really like each other. The two bands don't really like each other. Um, FAMU put some beatings on Southern. Southern's, beat FAMU a couple of times. They beat them twice in one year. So, anytime these teams match up before 2002, when FAMU decided to try to move up to Division 1A, these two teams played every year. So this is good that this matchup is back, and now it's a SWAC matchup. So definitely excited for that one. November 13th, Deion Sanders and Jackson State come to Baton Rouge, man. I tell y'all, man, if you don't have anything to do, you need to get your butt on the bluff. This game is gonna be nasty, man. The atmosphere is always crazy when these two teams hook up. Um, you can call it the Boombox Classic if you want. It is what it is, but to me, it's always gonna be just Southern and Jackson. And it don't need anything else to this. But Deion Sanders coming to Baton Rouge should be definitely interesting. The nation will be definitely ready. So it should be an exciting game. It should be a good atmosphere. If you don't have no other games to attend, man, I definitely suggest you attend this one. This is probably one of the biggest on-campus games that make the list, and definitely, if you got an opportunity to come, man, come. November 20th, Alcorn and Jackson hook up in the Soul Bowl. I don't know what they call it now, but I always call it the Soul Bowl. Um, Good game. Obviously, Alcorn and Jackson been talking a lot of trash since Alcorn opted out. Alcorn and moved divisions, so Alcorn feel like they still got a claim over everybody, and Jackson is not having it. So we'll see how this game turns out. Should be a good one though. Bethune-Cookman and FAMU hook up in the Florida Classic in Orlando. Also, November 20th, FAMU's won nine. I mean, Bethune-Cookman's won 9 straight games in this series. Um, it'd be appropriate for FAMU to finally get off the snide in the first matchup between these two teams in the SWAC. So this is another game. If you into going to classics, but you haven't been to this one, man, I suggest you do. It's definitely a different vibe than any other classic on this list. Florida people do things a little bit differently. Man, I lived in Florida for about 10 years. I enjoy going to this game. So definitely gonna be a good atmosphere. SWAC matchup now instead of a MEAC matchup, so that's something to take into account. And that's a game to definitely watch out for. November 20th, UAPB at A&M, Alabama A&M, in a matchup of the SWAC championship game of the spring, a rematch. Last time these two teams played in Huntsville, Pine Bluff beat Alabama A&M by about 25 points, and kind of put the SWAC on notice that they were making their climb to the top. So I expect another good game. Obviously, the championship game was a good game, and we'll see how this one turns out. The Turkey Day Classic returns on November 25th. Tuskegee and Alabama State. That's the matchup that always should be on Thanksgiving. No offense to Miles or nobody else like that, Prayerview or Valley or whoever you want to put in that spot. Turkey Day Classic should always be Alabama State and Tuskegee, and that's what this is. So I'm hyped that this game is here, and definitely keep an eye on it. Tuskegee has had their fair share of success in this series. So just because they D2 don't necessarily mean that they can't beat Alabama State. So don't look at it like that. There's been a few years Alabama State had their season ruined by Tuskegee. So this should be a good game. Tuskegee always keep a team and they always keep athletes. So this game is definitely going to be an all-out battle. The last regular season game on the list is the Bayou Classic, November 27th in New Orleans. Whatever it was in Shreveport, it is what it is. But the Classic being back in New Orleans, I don't care what Gremlin record is. I don't care what Southern record is. Just because the game is back in New Orleans, it automatically makes my list. And that's that for the regular season. Obviously, December 4th, I think it is, the SWAC championship game. I don't think that date's right, but um, the first weekend in December, the SWAC championship game. And we'll definitely see a good matchup between that. Whoever makes out the East is gonna be a beast. Whoever makes out the West is gonna definitely have proved themselves. So it should be one of the best SWAC championship games we had in a long time. And that's my list, man. I tried to trim it down some, couldn't. So I just threw in every game I felt that y'all should pay attention to, and that's that, man. So we'll be back tomorrow with our next edition of the SWAC Talk Time Machine. Southern and Alabama State 2004 SWAC championship game. I'm watching it now, so we'll talk about that Sunday. Mississippi Valley spring season recap, and we're gonna keep rolling, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for the love. We'll be back on Wednesday. We're out.